First tonight, a special CBS 4 Problem Solvers investigation into a device that could save thousands of lives. Automated external defibrillators, also known as AEDs, are found in many public places, even offices and schools. The CBS 4 Problem Solvers went searching for these life-saving machines around central Indiana.
What we found shocked even the experts we talked to. CBS 4's Jill Glavin investigates out-of-sight AEDs.
From the young to the old, the city to the small town, the #1 killer of Americans is lurking, and it should have killed both Justin Siller and Bruce Richardson.
There was no way to tell this was going to happen.
It's hard to process, really, all of it.
Justin was at school 3 years ago, jogging when it happened.
It was third period. I had gym class.
And you shall seek me.
Bruce was at church, praying with his weekly men's group.
I had no symptoms there was any issue.
What struck them both was sudden cardiac arrest. Their hearts stopped. What saved them both, a defibrillator.
Shock delivered.
The only way I know what happened is because of what people have told me.
That day may be lost for Justin, but for Kim Romanetz and Maggie Rockwell, it's vivid, etched in their memories.
It definitely has changed my life.
The pair worked at Danville Community High School. They rushed in to help when Justin collapsed on the school's indoor track.
A student poked their head in and said, "Mrs. Rockwell, he's turning blue." And I yelled to her, "Do we need the AED?" And she said yes.
Analyzing rhythm.
They got the device hooked up, followed its instructions, and then came the moment it told them to push the button.
Shock advised.
And deliver a shock.
Push the shock button.
I remember looking at her and we kind of locked eyes and she's like, "Push it."
That shock brought Justin's heartbeat back. He spent a week in a coma, but emerged.
Here it is.
And as you can see, survived.
So do you all feel like having the AED there made a difference then?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Shock delivered.
Hearing a story like that, you'd think that AEDs would be everywhere, but we found places where these devices are missing or misleading.
I called and emailed dozens of public places in central Indiana and went out to look for AEDs myself. At the Indianapolis City County building, I found one AED on the 5th floor missing, and others sitting in boxes with the words "trained responder only" on them. And the Indianapolis Public Library System had no AEDs at all.
Press.
I took this to Troy Flugner with Cardiac Science. He sells AEDs, and he's organized hundreds of giveaways to local groups and charities.
I've had, in 10 years, more than 100 different cases where someone's alive because there was an access to an AED.
He says labels like this one, which we saw in other places too, are outdated.
You should not have a hesitation going to a cabinet and seeing a sticker that says "trained responder only."
Every AED is different.
It's old language from the days when you had to be trained to use an AED. 10 years ago, Indiana legislators rewrote the law to let anyone use one without liability. When it comes to the library, Flugner and others expressed even more concern to me.
Stand clear.
Liability should not be the concern of having an AED. I've placed AEDs in libraries all over the state. They should absolutely have one. There are libraries in Hamilton County, in Hendricks County, in Boone County, Henry County, that have AEDs.
In fact, there are thousands of AEDs in our area.
Shock delivered.
And they're easier to use than you might think.
Shock advised.
The devices tell you what to do. They detect a heartbeat, and they'll only shock someone if they don't have one.
Shock delivered.
When somebody has cardiac arrest, time is of the essence.
Dr. Gopi Dandamudi with IU Health took it one step further for me.
The best chance of survival usually is within the first 3 minutes.
Stay calm.
But that's if you can get to one. Bruce Richardson is lucky. His church did not have a device. Paramedics arrived in time to shock him and save his life.
Combined, they all worked on me for about 37 minutes. This is just outside of the main sanctuary.
Afterwards, that church, Grace Assembly of God, invested in 2 AEDs.
There's an added sense of urgency for the need, especially with a group of people this large that go here.
Indiana law does not say public places have to have AEDs. It only mandates them at health clubs. But everyone I talked to said they think AEDs should be at our schools, our sports facilities, our workplaces, anywhere large groups of people gather. Since I started working on this story, we're already getting action. Staff at the City County building are looking into that missing unit, as well as possibly removing the trained responder only labels. As for the Indianapolis Public Library, CEO Jackie Needis told me her staff has considered getting AEDs before, including just 2 years ago.
There was a lot of concern expressed by our insurance company
and by our attorneys.
But after I contacted the library and presented my findings, Nita said they looked again and found things have changed.
They are more willing to entertain us moving in this direction.
You do have to maintain the devices, and in many instances, training of staff is recommended.
I'm using most of my back to compress.
Nita said in the past the library had found that burden too high. The library is now formulating a plan to pay for the devices and phase them in at its 24 locations.
If there was an incident and we didn't have these, I'd be kicking myself all the way out the door.
Both Bruce and Justin know this issue all too well and have become advocates for increasing access to the devices. They each believe an AED could mean the difference between someone you know dying or moving forward like them to do what they love and enjoy what's ahead.
It's nothing short of a miracle that we're here able to share the story.
Shot delivered.
We could save somebody's life with these. And I mean, life is a really precious thing.
I do want to emphasize those are two of hundreds of stories that we could have told throughout central Indiana. There are so many people who say they've been saved with a device just like this one. Now, if you're thinking, how do I get one? They do run around $1,500 and you have to keep them maintained. So it is an investment. The American Red Cross sells several versions and has specialists who can help you out.
Joe, we've talked a lot about AEDs in public places, but what if you need one when you're at home?
Well, that's a big thing because Dr. Dan Moody, who I talked to, he said 70% of cardiac arrests, they actually happen at home. So that's the next big solution, the thing that they're trying to figure out. Now, he told me about testing that's going on right now in Europe. It's really interesting. They're developing ambulance drones. Now, 911 dispatchers would actually fly that to your home. He also thinks that things like your smartwatch could help detect cardiac arrest in the future. It could tell you maybe when your heart stopped, even send out a call to 911. So there's a lot of technology going on here. Now, I talked to firefighters, to EMTs, to a lot of groups. They all told me that the biggest barrier to using one of these is still fear. So they really want people to seek out the information, to learn more about this, even if you don't go as far as going to a training, to at least look for some information.
Because this walks you right through it.
It does.
Right?
It talks to you. It tells you what to do. They really stress to me you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be trained, and that's a big misconception.
Yeah, they're important.
Absolutely.
And they do save lives.
And we've got more information on that. You can go find a training, get some more information on how to use them. That's at on our website and also on our mobile app.
All right. Jill Glavin with this report. Thank you very much. That was great.